the editorials in the last 4 days, even though the mass media, the PNM put Rowley there, them and all, which means their shareholders, the ones who benefited financially, are now coming to the realization that even though they personally benefited, the decimation of our nation cannot just continue, and therefore Rowley, PNM, all of them must go. One element of this is a scathing commentary, an op-ed by Professor Cecil Kuo, a proud black man, a man who believes in African greatness, African religion, promotion of African history, African upliftment, reparations from 400 years of devastating slavery, and a man who has historically been a proponent of the PNM, because what Dr. Eric Williams sold to the black people in Trinidad and Tobago was that the PNM shall prevail. The PNM was the savior of black people. No matter what, vote PNM. And generations of our elders, our pensioners, those who went before, truly believe that no matter what, they must vote for PNM, regardless of the policies, the people, the lack of support, the heartlessness. Vote PNM, because it is us against them. But Professor Cecil Kuo writes a scathing commentary today, and I can't read. All you go and read it for yourself online in the Express and so, Cecil Kuo. But I read a piece of this where he was discussing the recent debacle, the recent admission where Kamla Prasad Bisesa caught Rowley and the PNM with their heartlessness on display, their heartlessness towards the elderly, those who have gone before. Once you hurt, or you're willing to hurt elderly and children, you know that your time on this earth in whatever sphere of leadership is over. The PNM have the Judith Jones report. 3 years now. 3 years. Judith Jones report showing where children were raped and battered and beaten, and they've done absolutely nothing. Now they're trying to take resources from the elderly who have spent their lives earning their little kakada, building this country, building this nation, forging us. The PNM got caught by Kamla Prasad Bisesa when she read out from a cabinet note and a decision and a legislation that had been laid where pensioners were going to be denied their God-given right. Never mind the PNM call it a grant. That has always been the issue between the UNC and the PNM. The PNM wants the pension to be a grant, which means that a prime minister without a heart, a greedy, corrupt prime minister, could take away the so-called grant because it was done at the behest or the desire of the prime minister. But a pension, that is not a grant, that is a right, which is the position of the United National Congress, which is the position of Kamla Prasad Bisesa, cannot just be summarily removed. It belongs to you once you reach a certain age. The PNM wanted to remove that and only give the most destitute people who are already begging to survive. Anybody who had put aside a little bit of money, 25,000 TT. This, after Rowley just increased his salary and his pension by leaps and bounds that he nice. He wanted to do that. But Cecil Kuo printed something today that I had not realized. I don't know how it escaped me. I didn't read it and I didn't know that Rowley said that. He says in discussing Keith Christopher Rowley and the process for producing and laying in Parliament a bill that is so heartless, so disrespectful, so disdainful, so painful towards the elderly. This is what Rowley said. The leader, which says Kuo, the leader, meaning Rowley, without a scintilla of contrition, offered the shameless excuse, and he puts it in quotes. All of that was news to me because the first note that went to the cabinet, I didn't see it. And I wasn't in the country at the time. I went to Parliament on Friday. It was laid, but I didn't see the note. Now, I couldn't believe that our Prime Minister would ever be so callous, so arrogant, so dotish, so asinine to make a statement like that. Rowley is basically saying there that the cabinet that he is the chair of in a Westminster system, that the Prime Minister is in charge of every cabinet note that comes through. A process where the Prime Minister selects ministers. They carry out the Prime Minister's policy, the Prime Minister's beliefs. The cabinet process ensures that nothing could slip through the cracks because the Prime Minister and all ministers are given copies, hard copies and or soft copies if so desired, to read every single cabinet note that is coming forth for a decision. They're given that a minimum of 2 days before the first meeting on Thursday. They discuss it at cabinet all day. If it is not approved on that very said day, it goes to Finance and General Purposes Committee for further discussion, which is a subcommittee of the cabinet, where the Minister of Finance normally chairs it and the public servants there, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance is there, and ministers who have an interest in any cabinet note whatsoever, whether it's sport, culture, finance, pension, social development, they go there and they give their opinions, they argue it out, they thrash it out, they even edit it if need be. Then it comes back to the cabinet on a blue paper to show that it has been to the Finance and General Purposes Committee. And then it is discussed at cabinet again. And if it gets the approval of cabinet, the Prime Minister who's chairing the meeting, or in the case that the Prime Minister is out on a golf course, his selected acting Prime Minister, in this case, must have been Stuart Smallpenny Young, who is hand-selected, would sign, confirm, would sign approved, and move it on. When the meeting is adjourned, all these notes, those that are approved, those that are not, go to the Cabinet Secretariat. They weed it out, vet it out, and those that have been approved, they create and print up, have done a pink sheet on thin pink paper to be put on the agenda at the beginning of the next cabinet meeting, which is normally a week after. So for Rowley to say he didn't know and he wasn't there, there are a number of questions that arise, because then it comes back with the pink paper before to be confirmed, to be approved and confirmed, and the Prime Minister or acting Prime Minister must sign that sheet to say that the entire cabinet has seen, has agreed, and has moved forward, which means that all the cabinet read it. The acting Prime Minister, the Prime Minister himself would have had ample opportunity to read it. This statement by Rowley either suggests that he is a blatant liar, as we have known before, that he is the laziest, most incompetent Prime Minister who has no respect for the cabinet process, for the policy process, for the decisions being taken to impact lives of citizens, that he would not read a cabinet note. You could read a cabinet note anywhere. You're in first class, you could read it on the plane. You could read it as you're waiting for your tea time at the golf club. You could read it and understand it. You're just taking decisions that impact people's lives. And Rowley is saying, me I know about that, I wasn't there, me I read that and it went through. That is total nonsense. That is dishonesty of the highest order. And if he's telling the truth and he didn't care, he's so lazy and incompetent that he did not even read a cabinet note that impacts the lives of tens of thousands of elderly citizens and push them into pain and suffering till the day they die, then that is an indictment on him, and he should just simply resign, and he won't, because he has no character. Therefore, the tipping point has arrived that even PNM people, PNM pensioners, everybody, independent, UNC, must come together to get rid of him and to vote him out 100% out of hand. It is an impossibility. Then he says it just was laid in Parliament, and he just gone to Parliament, and then he hear Kamala say, look at this clause. when you get bills laid in Parliament, you, as a member of Parliament, whether in the Senate or the lower house, there's something called an order paper that the staff of the Parliament do with precision, perfection, and they don't play. So the Parliament don't just call like a wappy and you get together and you come and you just take a drink. They send an order paper, and what will be debated, and what will be debated is decided by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and the leader of government business, the Attorney General and the Cabinet decide what will be debated. So the PNM Rowley decides that they're going to debate this bill. And he's trying to say that he never read it, never saw it, it never dawned on him, he never saw that clause. That is a total impossibility. And if it is true, it means that he is the dumbest human being to ever set foot in the Parliament. Either way, he needs to go. And then the order paper will have the bill and soft copy. And if you want hard copy, you can request it, all the clauses of the bill that has been laid. And before you dress up in your suit, you have to know what is being debated. You have to read it. You have to formulate your strategy, how you're going to debate. Some of them PNM have to go and get people to write a speech for them and put it on iPad for them to read out. Rowley is saying that it reached Parliament and he knew nothing about it as the Prime Minister, as the head of the Cabinet. And you all accept that nonsense? For those words to come out of his mouth, it shows his arrogance and his disdain for you, the people, for the office that he is holding, for the office of Prime Minister, for Trinidad and Tobago, and they're calling people unpatriotic. Cecil Kuo sums up his column. We should rid ourselves of this corruptible formation called the PNM during the next election. It is criminal to let them loose upon the population for another 5 years. A quiet period to reassess its values may be helpful to them, says Kuo. PNM should leave us alone, if only for decency's sake. I cannot think of a better gift to the nation. And as we're talking about gifts to the nation, Joshua Regrello, thank you for the gift to the nation. What absolute brilliance. What amazing capacity. Not only physical fitness, but mental acuity to stay focused, to play note after note. The amazing ability to play all genres of music one after the hour for 31 hours, world record. That is the brilliance of Trinidad and Tobago. That is the amazing nature and feats of people that we are. Joshua Reguero is the best in the world record holder, just like Dwight York, just like Brian Lara, just like Atto Bolden, Hazley Crawford, Keshawn Walcott, just like our Nobel laureates, just like Giselle Laron West, just like Penny, just like all our ladies who won, Wendy Fitzwilliam, just like our scientists and our doctors, our neurosurgeons. We are the greatest and we are the best. The irony is that the PNM jumping on his feet because it's Regrello's son. And the PNM is saying how great thou art and how amazing. The irony is that PNM is against that type of brilliance. PNM is against merit. PNM puts people in ministerial positions to lead who cannot even take a math exam, who cannot pass their exams, who fail. They take away scholarships and give bursaries. They appoint people to head WASA and be the minister of WASA because they know not about anything about WASA. The PNM promotes incompetence, promotes lick-bamsy above brain, and then comes to jump on a world record and say, hey, this is great because his father is a PNM. No, you don't even understand. His achievement goes against the grain of the PNM. PNM thwarts brilliance. PNM thwarts achievement. PNM is not world class. PNM is dishonest. They like people who cannot perform, incompetence across the board. So I say high praises to Joshua Regrello. I'm inspired by your brilliance, your amazing feat, your passion, your choice to not do law and to do PAN, just like I chose not to do law, but to go and coach, even though coaching was not a very lucrative profession. But my heart and soul was there. So Joshua Regrello, well done, my brother. You are Trinbagonian true and true. Your achievement is astounding. And it looked like you could have done another 30 hours. Well done. But all them PNM who jumping on it and so on, all they look in the mirror because y'all are not Joshua.